Hello, Birth Bestie speaking, and I've got a lot to say. Hello and welcome to Birth Babe. I'm Megan, founder of Bump to Babies UK, award-winning birth coach, and I've supported thousands of women across the globe to stop fearing birth and start preparing for it, to help women stop spending their pregnancy secretly shitting themselves about birth whilst telling everyone that they are fine. You are not broken, you are not failing, and you're definitely not the only woman lying awake at 2 a.m. wondering how the hell you're going to get your baby out of your body. Birth confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something that you build. So whether you're pregnant, planning a baby, or just want someone to explain birth without the fluff, without the fear-mongering, and without the bullshit, you're in exactly the right place. Don't forget to hit subscribe, share this episode with your pregnant bestie, and let's get into it. Welcome back. Today I'm sharing something incredibly personal, but before I do that, what I want to just know is that there is a fly in my living room that is flying around my head, sitting beside me, rubbing its hands together, and honestly, I hate flies. This is one reason why I absolutely hate, with a passion, summer. Love the sun, but the flies, bugger off, hate them. Anyway, let's get into today's episode. It's going to be personal, potentially emotional. I am on my period today, so there may be tears, but we're going to try and hold them back. Now, before I became a birth coach, before I supported thousands of women through pregnancy and birth, before Bump to Babies even existed, I was absolutely terrified of birth. Believe it or not. Terrified. And I don't mean a little bit nervous. I mean genuinely consumed by fear. So I want to tell you the backstory behind that fear and what changed and why I am so passionate about helping others do the same. Now, can you hear that pigeon? Cuckoo, cuckoo. It's like a bloody zoo round here. If it's not the bloody flies, it's the pigeons. Honestly. Anyway, I wasn't always the confident one. I think a lot of people, they look at my TikTok, they look at my Instagram, they're like, she's confident. She had 2 positive births because, she's confident. And that is not true. I think a lot of people assume that I'm confident, but I'm not. I have not always trusted my body. I have not always been calm. In fact, I'm probably one of the least calm people you'll ever meet. But before pregnancy, I had tokophobia. If you've not heard of that word before, tokophobia is an intense fear of pregnancy and childbirth. And I am not joking when I tell you that it completely consumed me. And it's really strange because I desperately wanted children. I don't know if you heard that, but I was mid-yawn. I'm actually recording this at 8:15 at night. I've just put the kids to bed and yeah, it's my only chance that I get to sit down and actually get things done. So I do apologise if I yawn throughout this. Here we go again. She's back, honestly. You're just going to have to let that go. Anyway, I desperately wanted children. I always wanted to be a mum, but the thought of what I had to go through to get there made me physically sick, genuinely. As soon as I had them 2 lines on a pregnancy test, the first thing I thought of is, oh my God, I have to have a blood test. Oh my God, I've got to push this baby out. Oh my God, I cannot believe what I'm now going to have to go through. This is traumatic as hell. I weren't excited. I was petrified. And I think a lot of people think that if you're scared of childbirth, you don't want children. But that wasn't true for me. Like, I always wanted the baby, but I was just completely terrified of the journey of how to actually get there. And all around me, I didn't hear good things. My mum, she had okay labours, but very, very long. And she was like, they were the most painful thing she's ever done. So I instantly assumed that that was going to be the case for me. Now, when did the tokophobia actually start? When did I actually start to realise that I had this fear? And I think when I think back to it, it was probably around about the time that I was about 14, 15. My periods were extremely heavy. And my mum said to me, I think it would be very, very wise if you start using tampons. You're using pads at the minute, you're saturating through them. Like, I think it would be a good idea to give tampons a try. I couldn't do it. The tampon would go in and I was rejecting the tampon. As soon as it went in, I was like, no, hell no. Like, it just did not feel right. I tried moon cups, I tried everything. And yeah, basically it just wouldn't work for me. And then time went on, I met my husband. There's a lot that went on in between that, but we'll get back to that. But I met my husband and obviously sexual intercourse was a thing, we'd just met, we were in the honeymoon phase. And I can remember even sex feeling painful. Like, it was almost like I just could not deal with the thought of anything being inside. And then I constantly went back to the thought of, oh my God, like when I have a period, I have blood inside of me and my womb is shedding. And I would overthink about that situation to the point where it would make me feel sick. And then it went on to, oh my God, when I have a baby, I'm going to have a baby inside me. This baby is going to be inside of me. And what if I reject the baby? Like, what if my body's like, no, hell no, I don't want it? Because I couldn't deal with tampons, couldn't deal with sex, couldn't deal with moon cups. The thought of things made me feel sick. And I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to do this. It's just too much. And I just felt so completely disconnected from my body. I didn't trust my body. And looking back now, I can see how much fear I was carrying. Like, I thought it was normal to begin with. I just thought that was that was me. But then when you see other people around that were so proud of themselves during pregnancy, they were so elated to be pregnant, they couldn't wait for the moment that they got lines on the test and all of this stuff. It just felt so far away from the truth. Like, I genuinely was terrified. And I also, on top of that, had medical anxiety. Now, this is the bit that people find hilarious, considering I work in the NHS and I have done since 2015. I passed out 3 times in my NHS time because I could not cope with blood, pain, or anything medical. I can honestly remember being in a gynae clinic with a consultant who was doing a biopsy on a lady's cervix, was it, or her womb? I can't remember. Basically, they'd done a camera, they put the camera up through the cervix, I believe, and then they took a biopsy from the womb. The lady was awake. It happened in clinic. I weren't expecting it. I was literally there working on clinic thinking I was going to be chaperoning the consultant when they were doing maybe a vaginal examination. I was not expecting to see a camera scope that was going into a woman up into the cervix and was going to do a biopsy of the womb. And you can imagine at this point, I cannot even cope with the thought of tampons, let alone that. So that sent me into a medical spiral. I can remember hitting the floor. I can remember the consultant ringing my department to say that somebody needs to come and collect me. I woke up, my mouth was sweaty, my mouth was watering, my palms were sweaty, and I can just remember I can never go back there. There's no way. I can't do it. So yeah, not my finest moments. I could support patients all day long, but yeah, put anything gruesome, gory or anything next to me, I'll be like, hell no, I can't do it. So yeah, when I got pregnant, it wasn't a magical movie scene, where you're skipping through a field and you're so excited. It wasn't that. It was pure panic. And yeah, my first thought was literally, oh my God, I've got to have a baby. And yeah, I crumbled, overwhelmed, scared. And I just remember thinking, I don't know how the hell I'm going to do this. So yeah, something happened. I realised that I could not spend the next 9 months feeling this way. I I just knew that I couldn't white knuckle my way through it. Like, there's no way I could have done it. I couldn't spend every single day terrified, spiraling in my mind, feeling like I was going to throw up because I was so scared. This isn't even morning sickness at this point. It's anxiety-induced sickness. I needed help. And asking for help was one of the best things that I ever done. And I did think at the start, I've just got to get through it. People do it every day. I'm just going to get through this. I'll be fine. I'll come out the other end. It will all be fine. But something in my head was like, no, whenever I do something, whenever I set my heart to do something, whenever anything happens in my life, I prepare for it. So I want to get as prepared as possible for this birth. And I know that will help me because knowledge is power. And I truly believe that everything I've prepared for, I've always excelled in. So I was like, if I prepare for this, then surely I'll excel in it. So yeah, I had therapy and I started walking through the fear, walking through the trauma that I had from a child. Now, I'm not going to delve too much into that in this episode. That is an episode for another day, but I was in an abusive relationship and I think that's where the whole vaginismus started. But again, that's a story for another day. That is trauma that I will hold for the rest of my life, and I do think it impacted my pregnancy and not my birth, because we'll get to that. But yeah, I started walking through the fears, the traumas, and then I can remember the therapist saying to me, have you heard of hypnobirthing? And I hadn't. And as soon as she mentioned it to me, it's like I saw it everywhere. And I know a lot of you, if you don't know what hypnobirthing is, you're probably going to think, what in the hippie hell is that? But honestly, hypnobirthing is incredible, and it's the exact reason on why I do what I do, because it didn't teach me how to have a perfect birth. It taught me how to stop fearing birth. It taught me what was happening in my body, how to calm my nervous system when I felt anxious, when I felt scared. It taught me how to feel safe again. And it taught me how to appreciate this baby that I was growing inside of me. And instead of feeling scared, I felt deeply connected to my baby, which is something I did not feel at the start. I felt this huge disconnection. And the baby honestly felt like a foreign object. It didn't feel like part of me. It felt like something that shouldn't be there. It changed my life. Hypnobirthing genuinely changed my life. And if you are somebody that is listening to this and my story sounds similar to yours, I can guarantee you that hypnobirthing is going to change the way that you view pregnancy and birth. So yeah, honestly, I was not the woman that done the pregnancy test. No, wait. I've got my words mixed up. When I done my pregnancy test and I stared at that pregnancy test, when I gave birth, I was a completely different woman. Like, genuinely, two completely different women. So, yeah, in pregnancy, I started to understand birth, understand my body. I started trusting myself. And I knew that birth wasn't going to be easy. But I thought in my head, I can do this. For once in my life, I genuinely felt like I could do it. I felt prepared, and feeling prepared changed everything. Now, don't get me wrong. My births, both of them, were bloody intense. I am not a birth coach, just going to tell you that birth is orgasmic, euphoric, not painful. You can just breathe through it. I'm not that birth coach. So if you want that birth coach, then leave this podcast and find someone else, because I like to set you up to know that birth is intense, because it is. It's also powerful, and it asks a hell of a lot of you. Like, the veil is thin. Honestly, the veil is thin. It's hard work, but it's also the best bloody day of your life. And yes, it might not be perfect. It might not go to plan. Mine didn't. Mine weren't perfect. They both didn't go to plan. but they transformed me. And I spent years expecting birth to be the worst day of my life, but it truly became the most empowering day of my life. And with every inch of pain that I went through came such big purpose. Like, every single contraction had a meaning, because I wasn't suffering, I was bringing my baby into the world. Why is that making me so emotional? But it's true. Like, with every inch of pain you go through, there is so much purpose. And yeah, I think this is honestly why I'm so passionate about this work. Like, yeah, it's amazing. So my story doesn't end there. You know, my babies were born, and I'd love to say that I had an incredible first few weeks into motherhood. But yeah, unfortunately, I was diagnosed with postnatal depression and psychosis. And that was a chapter in my book that I was not prepared for. I had a history of anxiety and depression anyway, so I know the chances are higher. But yeah, it knocked me sideways. I had my little girl during COVID, and when she was born, there was no support around me. There was nothing. There was really nobody to turn to, nobody to ask questions to. If you did have questions, it was very much, oh, ring the Just One Norfolk number, or go to your GP. And even then, it was hard enough to actually see anyone or get a message in edgeways. So yeah, I remember sitting there and looking at Nellie and thinking, God, she's so beautiful, and feeling so grateful, you know, that I had this gorgeous baby girl. But deep down, I thought, why don't I feel happy? Why do I feel so lost? Why do I feel so guilty? And I remember thinking, why do I feel like I don't want to be here? And it was so incredibly hard, like so hard. And it taught me so many things, that support matters more than anything. And actually having that time during COVID and not being able to have your close family and friends nearby, not being able to have people that you can fall onto, and actually the only option that you had was to just call people. And that in itself is really difficult when you have these small pockets of time when you've got a newborn baby. I just felt so incredibly lonely. And this is why, like, support is so incredibly important when you're having a baby, because we need support, we need guidance, we need somebody in our corner. And yeah, that is exactly why Bump to Babies exists, because I never ever want women to feel as alone as I once felt. And I never want women believing that fear is something that they just have to put up with. I never ever want women thinking that feeling scared and anxious and so incredibly broken about being pregnant and having to give birth is normal. Like, there's so much that we can do now while we're pregnant to actually flip that whole narrative around. Because if I can go from tokophobia, trauma, vaginismus and severe medical anxiety to having 2 incredible births, then you can too. And that's what I want every woman listening to know, that birth confidence isn't something that you are born with. It's something that you build today. So yeah, if you've listened to this and you're scared, I want you to know something, that you're not broken, you're not weak, you're not failing, and fear is definitely not a sign that you can't do this. Honestly, you are so much stronger than you ever imagine. And I'm proud of you. Like, every day, I'm proud of all of you, and I'm just sending you so much love. And yeah, I'll see you on the next episode. Right, my darlings, that is it for today's episode of Birth Babe. And if you enjoyed this episode, please take a screenshot, pop it on your stories and tag me so I can come and say hello. And if you're ready to stop hoping birth goes well and actually prepare for it, there are a few ways that we can work together. The Calm AF Birth Club is my online self-paced hypnobirthing course designed to help you feel calm, confident and prepared for birth in a way that actually fits around real life. Or if you're looking for something deeper, the Fearless Birth Method is my 12-week coaching experience where we work together to rewire fear, build trust, and help you walk into birth feeling supported every step of the way. You'll find all the links in the show notes. Until next time, remember, hoping birth goes well isn't a strategy. Feeling prepared is. See you next week.